What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. And Flyers, they fall in overtime to the Toronto Maple Leafs by a score of 2-1. And in this game, the power play is goddamn awful. This is a game that the Flyers, in my personal opinion, should have won. They were winning 1-0 in this game for a very long time, and then halfway through the third period, in the final stages of the third period, the Flyers, they get a power play. They get two power plays, a 5-on-3 power play, might I add, and they can't score on either of those power plays. And in fact, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Scott Laughton, who played his first game back in Philadelphia tonight, he's the one that ties the game shorthanded on the dying seconds of the power play, and the game gets tied at 1. You go to overtime. A lot of offensive chances for both teams, a lot of breaks. Zegras had a breakaway, could not score. There was a chance for the Dvorak, he couldn't score. You had a 2-on-1 with Couturier and Michkov. Rebound, Couturier can't pounce on it. Toronto had a breakaway, Vladar made the save. And then a 2-on-1 after the whole net mouth scrum with Couturier and Michkov, where Couturier can't bury the rebound into the net. Toronto goes the other way. Tavares defended by Rasmus Ristolainen trying to take a lane away from the pass. Tavares eventually does get the pass over, and Easton Cohen buries the puck past Vladar to win the game in overtime for Toronto. And that definitely is a missed opportunity for the Flyers there. They could have grabbed 2 points. Instead, they get 1. I guess you could say that's the bright side there, in that you do get a point in this game, but I do think the Flyers should have won this game regardless. You win this game if you have a competent power play. If you have a below average power play, you win this game. And then also in this game as well, Travis Konechny randomly leaves at some point. Travis Konechny did not come back for the third period. He didn't even start the third period. I have no idea what the hell even happened. All of a sudden, I just noticed Konechny's not out there in the third period. Grabenkin's taking his shifts out there with Zegras and Dvorak. He's on that line. So did something happen to Konechny? Was he getting something fixed or something like that? Because apparently Konechny talked in the second intermission, interviews and all that stuff with Ashlyn Sullivan. And all of a sudden, the guy doesn't come back out on the ice, and he's ruled out for the game with an upper body injury. So I have no clue what the hell happened. Now that you're getting into a part where you are dropping like flies with the injury bug right now, because you didn't have Jamie Drysdale for this game. You didn't have Bobby Brink for this game. Hopefully those guys are available to go for this weekend, but it's still not confirmed yet what's going to happen with those guys. So now we don't know the full extent of what's going on with Konechny. I don't think Rick Tocchet had an update in his post-game presser, so that definitely sucks. So most likely you're going to have to call somebody up from Lehigh Valley. I wonder if Alex Bump gets the shot, or the guy that they got in the trade for Zamula Tomasino. I wonder if they call him up, maybe just to add some depth to the forward group, but that definitely will be a major loss if Konechny is out for a little bit of time here. So that sucks. That game definitely did suck. It was a boring game, to be honest. A lot of this, Flyers get the first goal of the game in the early stages of the second period. Good pass from Christian Dvorak. Konechny snipes the top shelf. Flyers go up 1-0. There were a few sequences where the Maple Leafs had some power plays in that second period. Dan Vladar was coming up huge in that, at some points in the game. I will throw some criticism to Dan Vladar. This is more nitpicky than anything. I think Dan Vladar should have saved the Laughton goal. I think Dan Vladar probably should have had that. I'm not sure if he got screened by Ristolainen or anything like that, but I'm not really sure. But I do think that is a save that Dan Vladar does need to make, especially when your team just can't buy a goal. And funny too, like right at the start of the 5-on-3, Owen Tippett makes a very good play getting into the zone, wrapping it around the net, and then you get a net mouth scramble where the Flyers are reacting like the puck is in the net. Michkov, Zegras, everybody was, Zegras was 100% sure that the puck was in the net. You could see him mouthing to the ref, that puck is fucking in, or whatever the fuck. He bleeped, basically. And they went to replay. It took a while. There was a funny moment where I guess Zegras saw the replay, because you really couldn't tell if the puck was in or not. The puck did not look like it crossed the line. You just couldn't see the puck whatsoever. There was a funny moment with Zegras after looking at the replays. He did maybe it wasn't in. So it was one of those situations. Nothing was conclusive. Didn't see the puck at all. And the play just continued. No goals. Flyers can't score on the power play. This power play is god-awful. It really is. This power play it feels like it's worse than Rocky Thompson's. Got to be honest. This power play has to be worse. I think it is. I think somebody posted something that it's like statistically worse than Rocky Thompson's this year. Yeah, right here, Flyers Nation. Flyers power play is now scoring at a worse rate than they were last season with Rocky Thompson. They're scoring at a 15% rate this year. Granted, it's not that big of a margin with Rocky Thompson. It was 15.1%. Still, it's worse. That is statistically worse than Rocky Thompson's power play. It doesn't make sense. I think Rick Tocchet talked about this on Flyers Daily with Jason Martinez, and he was talking about like how like he wants them to have movement on the power play. He wants bodies to move so they can get the defensemen to pinch, the penalty killers to pinch, to have them chase the man. So it opens up some shooting lanes. It opens up some spaces for anybody. The power play is so stagnant. They just stand still. They pass the puck back and forth to each other. If they attempt to shoot from the point, it misses the net or it gets blocked. And there's nobody there that's a good net front presence, nobody there for deflections, nobody there for rebounds. This power play, it's the most basic stuff that I've ever seen in my life, the most boring, the most just vanilla stuff that I've ever seen in my life. It's really been like this for years now. Seriously, I've seen teams with worse talent have better power plays. I know there's lack of talent in certain areas. I do think this team still lacks a power play quarterback. They lack a threat from the point, especially with a shot that could be accurate and put the puck on net. They don't have that type of threat at all from the point whatsoever. So that definitely is a thing that they just don't have. And this power play, like, if this team does make the playoffs, which still, I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs, but there is a good chance that this team makes the playoffs. If they do make the playoffs with the way that things are going this year, this power play is going to cost them in the playoffs. It really just is. It really just is. This power play is going to cost them. I think they're the worst power play in the league, if I'm not mistaken. I think they are. Actually, I want to look that up. If I just look at like team stats around the National Hockey League. So if I just look at the power plays and rank them like from best to worst, Flyers have the second worst power play. Flyers have the second worst power play in the league at 15%. Teams that are around them, the Calgary Flames have the worst power play in the league. The Washington Capitals, they have the third worst. Utah, 4th. Kings, 5th. Islanders, 6th. Maple Leafs are there. Colorado's there, surprisingly, in the bottom part of the league with the power play. Teams that are the best, obviously, Edmonton's the best power play in the National Hockey League. Pittsburgh's up there. Dallas is up there. Boston, Vegas, Detroit, Ottawa, Montreal. It's crazy. Like, I still think this team will make the playoffs just because of the way they do find ways to win games. Granted, I do think this is going to be a very stretch of 2 games upcoming here because they do play Tampa Bay back-to-back at home, which is the craziest thing that I've ever seen in my life. And also, they're going to Buffalo, where Buffalo is one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. So, and Pittsburgh's there's a lot of tough games upcoming. This is a very tough stretch for them. And dropping this game does hurt. Granted, yeah, you do get a point in this game, but dropping this game does hurt. It does. Because I'm not confident at all going to play Tampa Bay. I'm really not. What's Tampa Bay's power play like, actually? I want to see where Tampa Bay ranks. Where does Tampa Bay rank? They're middle of the bunch. Exactly middle of the bunch. Their penalty kills top 5, even though anybody can kill this Flyers power play on any given day. Seriously, it's just that. It's just that simple. The Flyers power play is just that bad. But Tampa Bay, I want to see some of their stats too. Just in general, I do want to see some of their stats just to look at the team, how they're doing this year. They're 3rd place in the Atlantic Division. They're 55 points, even though they're a point behind Montreal and Detroit. Everything is so neck and neck. Every team is so back and forth right now. It's crazy. But if I look at some stats right here, just from Tampa Bay's perspective, just to see how they're doing and everything. Obviously, Nikita Kucherov is going off like he always does. He's got 61 points in 38 games. That is absolutely fucking insane. And then the next best guy is Jake Gensel at 44 points. Hagel's got 38 points. Radish has 36. He's a defenseman. Jesus. Braden Point's actually having a very bad year. 26 points in 35 games. That's actually crazy. In terms of the goaltending, Vasilevsky. 2 3-throw goals against, 914 save percentage, 17-7-2. Yeah, it's simple. It's classic Vasilevsky. I don't know. I feel like they just don't match up well with Tampa. I know they played Tampa earlier in the season. I don't know. It just is. Ugh, I don't know. I just don't like. I just don't like the optics. In my personal opinion, I just don't. I just don't like the optics of playing Tampa Bay 2 times in a row. What's their record on the road? Actually, Tampa. Yeah, they're a better road team. They're a better road team than they are at home. They're 12-9 at home. They're 14-4-3 on the road. Granted, you could say that's 14-17, but that's still way better than 12-9 at home. My God. So yeah, to say I'm not confident in these 2 games against Tampa is a big, big understatement. Huge understatement. How nervous I could be against these 2 games against Tampa. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't think it's gonna end well. I really don't. And there's really not much else to talk about with this game because realistically, the game was, like I said, it was a boring game. There really wasn't much that happened. It definitely was evenly paced. The teams were evenly matched. Granted, Toronto was missing some guys. They didn't have William Nylander in this game, and I think that definitely was a huge loss on that perspective. Um, but overall, you know, should have won this game realistically. You should have won this game. If you have a competent power play, if you have a below average power play, you win this game. You win this game. And I do see you JMJR 13, but the power play might cost them a playoff spot. Yeah, that definitely could be a case. If your power play costs you games, yeah, that definitely could be a case, especially with the parity around the league this year. This power play is that bad. And it's been bad for a long time. It's been bad for years. And I just don't know what the fix is. Well, granted, I do know what the fix is. You need a defenseman. And honestly, you need better players that are not like Sean Couturier, so you don't force Sean Couturier and Christian Dvorak on the power play. Maybe that's one of those things as well. Oh my God, it's insane. It's insane. If there's anything else in terms of just like looking at this game, like I said, Konechny got the goal. It's another point for Dvorak since signing the extension. The Flyers were also dominated in the faceoff circle today. That is also something that is definite. Scott Laughton was winning a ton of faceoffs. I think Scott Laughton almost won like 25 faceoffs, if I think someone pointed that out. Laughton was out there basically for every faceoff, it felt like, especially in the overtime. Toronto almost won 70% of the faceoffs. Insane. Flyers only won 16 faceoffs in this game. 16. And the Flyers were what? I think 1 for 9, 1 for 8 on the power play against Anaheim. So now with these past 2 games, they're like 1 for 11, 1 for 12 on the power play because they went over 3 tonight. This power play, man, it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's very bad. And it really might cost them something. It really might because it's that bad. I guess you could consider this an update from Bill Meltzer on Travis Konechny, even though it's not really an update. He's just trying to, I guess, speculating what happened to Konechny. So Bill Meltzer literally just posted this. When Konechny came out of the tunnel for the start of the game, he was accidentally tripped by one of the officials. Not sure that's when he got injured because he played 2 periods, but Talk said afterward that something was bothering him, the player, during the game, officially an upper body injury. So yeah, that's not good. Hopefully it's not one of those situations where it just randomly turns into a long-term thing. I hope that because the Flyers, they're dealing with so many injuries as it is. Tyson Forrester's out the rest of the season. No one Barkey or, Drysdale are coming back. So you lost now you're down 3 forwards. Like I said, I wonder if Konechny's out for a little bit. I wonder if they do call somebody up because you can't throw Nick Deslauriers into this lineup. It'll just make it 20 billion times worse. My God, it'll just make it 20 billion times worse if you put Nick Deslauriers in there. You got to call somebody up from Lehigh Valley, whether that's giving Alex Bump a pull up somebody like Tomasino that you just traded for. So maybe they do call up Bump. I'm not sure, but just trying to throw something at the wall and see what sticks, if you know what I mean. In terms of the standings, Flyers, they're in second place in the Metro standings, tied with the Islanders, 52 points. Flyers 22, 12, and 8 on the season after 42 games. 5-3-2 in their last 10. And Tampa Bay's, they're on an 8-game winning streak too. So does Tampa Bay play tomorrow? Does Tampa Bay play tomorrow before they play the Flyers on Saturday? Or are they off for a little bit? Let's see. What's Tampa's schedule like? Yeah, Tampa Bay's going to be well rested. Well rested. They're off today. They were off yesterday. They're off today, and they're off tomorrow. So they're going to have 3 days of rest coming into Philadelphia. So yeah, Tampa Bay's on a very big hot streak, and I guess you can also say hot streaks eventually come to an end. But like I said, Tampa Bay just scares me. It just does. Tampa Bay just scares me. And even on the Scott Lawton goal, I think the only reason that play even fucking developed is because when the Flyers were coming into the zone, Sanheim let one crank, and he missed the net so wide. The puck ricocheted, or like it either ricocheted off the boards or it just rolled around the boards, causing the breakout for the Leafs, and that's what led to the Lawton goal. So that's also something there. But let's get to the Anytime Hotline. Let's get to one. I think we have one call here from Sean about his reaction to this Flyers loss against the Maple Leafs. Let's get to it.
Well, 2 things were proven conclusive tonight. Number one, we can't beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. Doesn't matter where we play, when we play, what their roster looks like. The result is always the same. Number 2, Scott Lawton is Wayne Gretzky. I mean, the Flyers made that guy look like an all-star. He was the MVP of the game. Kicked our ass on face-offs and scored the shorthanded goal. But it should have never come to that. I mean, you have a 5-on-3 at home in regulation, and once again, the worst power play in the National Hockey League rears its ugly head. And this will cost them at some point this season. I mean, what else can you do? You've changed coaches, you've changed players, and it still sucks. And also, what the hell happened to Trevor Zegras on breakaways? This guy went from Mr. Automatic to now he can't buy one. You knew when they didn't score on the 5-on-3, and then when Zegras got stoned on the breakaway, they were going to lose the game. I mean, that was a given. At least they got a point. But oh, by the way, they're also dropping bodies. Now Konechny mysteriously gets hurt in a second period interview with Ashlyn Sullivan. So he's probably out against another team that they don't beat, no matter where the game is, especially in Philly, where they play them twice in the next 3 days. I've never heard tell of that, but that's 2 more losses. I mean, they're just running out of bodies. Vladar can only do so much, and your special teams just continue to suck.
I mean, yeah, it's just... I know people are now going to conspirize that he got hurt after that second intermission interview. People are going to conspirize that Ashlyn Sullivan probably beat him up. Maybe that's what happened, but that's just a funny conspiracy. But, yeah, it's going to cost them. It really is. I don't know what else to even mention it, but the power play is going to cost them. It's going to cost them at some point, whether that's it costs them a playoff spot or they make the playoffs and it's going to cost them in the playoffs because the power play is just that bad. And yet you've changed coaches. This power play has been bad since Michel Therrien was the power play coach, and that's going back like what 5, 7 years, 5, 6, 7 years at the point when Michel Therrien was the power play coach when Vigneault was here. It's been a while. That's a very long time since the power play, even though the power plays weren't bottom tier in the league when Therrien was the coach because they still had guys like Giroux and Voracek and all that stuff on the power play. But like years since then, realistically, ever since you traded away Giroux, the power play's been garbage. And that's the Rocky Thompson power play, and now that's this power play under the Tocchet coaching staff. Is it going to be just as simple as you get a defenseman that can actually quarterback a power play? Or is it simple as, this team, the power play is just so stagnant and they don't provide any type of movement to where it's just so easy to defend? And once you start, forcing guys to move, you start, getting a little bit creative and everything there, maybe it opens up some spaces, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just that bad. It's that bad. Like, I'm shocked it's not the worst power play in the league, but it really is. It really is. It's crazy. It's crazy. But, other comments here from JMJR13. So done with watching Couturier play hockey, and I do feel for him because I know he wants to be out there, but he's just cooked. Yeah, Couturier just isn't. He isn't going to provide much offensively. He should have buried the rebound that Michkov had in overtime, and which went the other way for Toronto. They eventually scored, but yeah, it's. Also, I don't know why Talkit Talkut and Michkov and Risto was a good combination to have out there for the overtime. Why not put Zegers and Michkov together? Worst case scenario, and you get the same result as tonight. Yeah, the Ristolainen thing, I think that's just more of a factor of not having Drysdale because the overtime defensive rotations probably would have been York, Drysdale, and Sanheim. That probably would have been it. So I think that's why Risto was out there. But I just guess for the fact of Michkov, he just wanted somebody responsible defensively out there. I guess. I don't know. Zegras probably pots that rebound home though. That Couturier had. But it is what it is. You got a point, but it is a game that you should have won. It's really a game where you should have shut out the Maple Leafs. You really should have. Not saying that you were drastically better than Toronto, but it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. So that'll do it for tonight, everybody. I appreciate you all tuning in as always. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service with the YouTube algorithm. Also, use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal to not pass it up. And probably have a recap on Saturday after the Tampa Bay game, most likely. And then Sunday will be Eagles. Sunday will be Eagles. And I know there's a lot of rumors are out there now about Bo Bichette and the Phillies, so hopefully maybe there's some news. I know they're getting a meeting with Bo Bichette on Monday, apparently, according to Matt Gelb. So we'll see. We'll see whatever happens. But should be an interesting weekend. Should be. Maybe we're back tomorrow. Not entirely sure. But definitely Saturday and Sunday we'll be back here. So appreciate you guys for